Tony, you've just held a practical session for the coaches on the FA's Licensed Coaches Club Conference. How many coaching practices, how many would work across different sports?
I think there's lots. I think there's loads that would work. And I think in Britain now, and the FA certainly has started to look at other sports. You've had Gordon Lord here today and looking at what cricket are doing. So that cross-fertilisation from sport to sport, I think there's a lot of things that we can learn from other sports.
It's a real privilege to have a chance to speak to such an audience and such a varied audience of football coaching experts. My suspicion, based on the reaction we've had there, is that the session will have stimulated a huge amount of thought about what might be transferable, and I guess it's football's job to work that out. Probably the most significant evolution within coaching within cricket has been this increased understanding of individuality, recognising that people are different both physically and mentally, and adapting coaching to meet those needs.
Jamie, how important is creativity in the modern game?
Absolutely critical. If we're going to develop the top players, then the ability to think independently, to come up with decisions in the game is absolutely fundamental to producing top players and top coaches that create environments that allow those players to flourish. So it's an absolute cornerstone to move forward.
I think it's just trying to take away the barriers from youngsters so that they've got an opportunity to express themselves and give them, from my particular session, it was about coordination, it was about being able to control their body so they could do things. And I think once they can do things, then you take away those barriers to creativity, and they'll take risks, they'll try things, they'll do things that are different, and that's what you want to encourage.
I think we've got to keep moving with the times, we've got to keep going forward, we've got to find out what's the next trend and get beyond that one. And at the end of the day, it's a sport where everyone needs to be creative. Can we come up with what's the latest thing to go and do? How can we make it an entertainment business where the supporters enjoy seeing new things going on the field of play? But how can we create the players to have that freedom of mind and not being robotic, like maybe we have been when we were in school, for example, where you're told to do something? Can we get a little bit more freedom with the players' mind to actually express themselves, to find a different way to do things? The director of Les Mis, Christopher Key, he identified very similar traits and very similar situations and challenges that we have in football that they have as well.
I think you've always got to change, you've got to grow, and you rely on creativity and creative people to help that happen. It's not as simple these days just to settle for second best. You have to find something that gives you an edge. So certainly in theatre, we're looking to create the most spectacular productions we can, but also find the performers who give your production that edge. And I think football's no different, that you need the players who are going to be able to produce those moments of skill and creativity to put your team on top.
That's what I challenged them with when they got in the dressing room. To enjoy, but ask them to be brave enough to try new things that they don't usually do. So you've got to be a bit more creative in how you do it. Let's raise his self-esteem up a little bit, because that will have a knock-on effect with his technical and with his team play. Because
at the end of the day, it's about people. How can we get somebody to be the best that they can be? How can we extract the potential that somebody's got so they can fulfill all the dreams? And again, for me, this is why it's a great thing where we've got the coaches all coming together, because we've got to put the platform on, we've got to put the environment to allow the younger players to develop, to flourish.